Hello students and welcome to video 1 in chapter 1.3 business objectives, and there's 2 videos in this chapter. So this is the 3rd chapter in topic 1, and if you're doing the syllabus in order, this will be the 3rd chapter that you get to. So within 1.3 there are 4 learning objectives. In the first video we're going to do 1, 2, 3. The first 3 learning objectives. The 4th one we're going to do corporate social responsibility, and this is all about how business set objectives, what they want to achieve and things like that. We're going to go into that during this video. So the first thing to look at as part of objectives is vision and mission statements, and these are statements which the business shares with the public that sort of describes them, but there's a difference between them. So the first one is mission statement, and this is a statement that outlines its purpose and what it's trying to accomplish. So this is all about who they are, what they're doing, and the things that they want to accomplish. So some examples: connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. This would be LinkedIn. So this kind of talks about what they're trying to achieve in their business. The second one is discover and spread ideas that spark conversation, deepen understanding, and drive meaningful change. And this is TED. You've probably heard this one before, I'd imagine. And mission statements tend to be more specific and detailed and pretty much talk about who are we. So if you look at these 2 mission statements, you can see that they kind of talk about what the business does, who they are, and it's just a way of communicating their mission to the world outside. A vision statement is very similar, but does something slightly different. This talks more about their vision. By vision, we mean the goals and dreams of the business, specifically in the future. And so if we look at the first example, this is a just world without poverty, and this is Oxfam. And this is more about the goals and dreams. So at the moment, obviously, we still have poverty. So their goal is sometime in the future, they're going to see a world without poverty. And then similar for the one behind my head, this is Ben & Jerry's. So this is making the best ice cream in the nicest possible way. Now you might think, well, this is a mission statement, but then the word best, I mean, some people would say that Ben & Jerry's is the best ice cream out there, but some people wouldn't. So this is something they're trying to achieve in the future. And so vision statements don't need to be specific. So mission statements tend to be specific. Visions tend to be more broad, maybe not so realistic, but it's more about who we want to be in the future. Not now, but some point in the future, this is something we might want to achieve. Maybe it's unachievable, but it's something we're trying to get towards. So some pros and cons of having these statements and sharing them with the public. First one, gives direction and guides decision making and behavior. So if we look at the one down here, IKEA to offer a wide range of well-designed functional home furnishing products at prices so low that as many people as possible will be able to afford them. So I think that when they're making decisions about new products or that sort of thing, things like their products have to be well designed, functional, and low price. So you can see that this can help give guidance to their decision making, especially around product design, but also elsewhere in the business. It's something that can boost brand image. And so if people do read this, they can go, yeah, IKEA, they want to keep their prices low. So it's a way of kind of reinforcing their brand image. And in some situations, it can motivate employees. I mean, it would be questionable if you work for IKEA whether this sentence would motivate an employee, but possibly. And if you're working for Oxfam and you see a just world without poverty, that can be something which, gives you purpose within your job. So some cons, they can be too vague and general. So I think IKEA actually does a pretty good job with this one, but other mission and vision statements can be quite general and therefore not so specific. And some people might just see it as a public relations stunt. It's another way of just marketing. Therefore, does it really motivate employees? Does it really give guidance to decision making? And there's also the time and cost involved in making them. This is quite a simple sentence, and some of those slogans and mission statements seem quite simple, but they can take a long time to develop and cost thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even more to actually develop these. Okay, so some common business objectives. So this is the syllabus outcome. So an objective is, I think we know the word objective, hopefully. It's a goal or a target that the business wants to achieve now or in the future. And so there are some common business objectives, which you've most likely heard of most of these. The first one is growth. So many businesses want to grow in terms of revenue, profit, market share, level of assets, etc., etc. This one's covered in chapter 1.4, which is called Growth and Evolution. So that one's covered more there. Another common objective is profit. This is when we maximize the difference between revenue and costs. And this is covered in the finance topic. And within 3.4, you look at the profit and loss. Number 3 might be to protect shareholder value. This is, you could say this is the valuation of the company. And one way we can value it is through the share price. And so shareholders generally want high share price and dividend payments, though they're, sorry, lost my train of thought. And this is covered in topic 3 as well, where we talk about the pros and cons of paying high dividends. Number 4 is ethical objectives. So this is when we have objectives which are ethical in nature. So things like helping the community, helping the environment, etc., etc. And we will be doing that later on in this chapter when we cover corporate social responsibility. So our final slide for this video, I'll just move my head again. So we need to talk about strategic and tactical objectives. So we've heard about strategies and tactics. We're just going to go through and distinguish what the difference between these are. So strategic objectives are aims and goals of the business that are long-term. So the key word here is long-term. For example, some strategic objectives might be become a market leader. So a leader in the market that we're operating in by having the highest market share. Maybe we want to buy a competitor because that's another way that we can increase our market share. So you can see that these objectives, they're very much long-term. For a business, maybe they can become market leader next week. But in general, it's going to take a fair amount of time to actually achieve these. Another one might be to achieve a stock market valuation of 1 billion. And then what the business is going to do is they're going to put long-term strategies in place to actually achieve these. I'll come up with strategies in order to achieve these strategic objectives. So in contrast, tactical objectives they're still aims and goals of the business, but they tend to be short-term in nature, and they might only include a part of the business. So I'll give you some examples and I'll come back and talk about them again. So for example, one might be to double sales revenue within the next 2 years. Another one might be to run a new marketing campaign. And so the difference here is that strategic objectives, these are the aims and goals for the long term. So for example, become market leader. And then the tactical objectives will hopefully be there to actually achieve the strategic objectives in the long run. So you can see over here, strategic objective, become market leader. Then the tactical objectives are going to be short-term goals in order to achieve that long-term strategic objective. So you can see both of these goals are within the marketing department, because often these are not all of the business. And so the marketing department might be saying, okay, we're going to try and double our sales revenue within the next 2 years. Maybe we're going to run a new marketing campaign. And the point of doing these is that they're trying to achieve this long-term objective of being the market leader. So there's much more about all of this during the rest of the course, and in the next video we're going to talk a bit more about that as well. We're now done with those 3 learning objectives.